Hello, good morning, and welcome to Daybreak on Trust TV. It is a beautiful Thursday morning right here in the nation's capital, and we're here trying to give you nothing but the very best to make sure that your morning gets off to the best start. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
And I'm Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, so let's get into the thick of the action, and we start by taking the headlines this morning. Drunk soldier crushed general to death in Lagos barracks.
Be cautious in approving loans for Nigeria, Sheikh Hussaini tells China.
And petrol price hits 250 naira per litre in Anambra.
Now, Senator Sheikh Hussaini has called on China to apply caution in approving Nigeria's loan applications. He made the call on Wednesday while speaking at a roundtable organized by the Center for China Studies with the theme 20th National Congress of CPC, Outcomes and Significance for Nigeria and Africa. While commending China for driving development in Nigeria and Africa at large, he said China should only grant loans that would have direct impact on the lives of Nigerians. Sani said the loan burden on Nigeria is heavy, hence only loans that would drive development should be encouraged by China. He also urged the Chinese Communist Party to invite leaders of Nigeria's political parties to its next Congress for them to learn how the Chinese are using the platform to drive development in their country. He charged Nigerian political parties to toe the path of the Chinese in asking critical questions during their congresses and proffering solutions to challenges.
And Brigadier General Audu Ogbole James, Director of Finance at the Nigeria Armed Forces Resettlement Center, Oshodi, Lagos, is dead. The general lost his life after a corporal identified as Abayomi Edu crushed him at the barracks on Tuesday night. The deceased was reportedly walking to his residence when the corporal, driving an SUV, hit him. Edu was said to be under alcoholic influence at the time of the accident.
Oh, that's quite a sad one. Moving on, premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol, now sells for between 240 naira and 250 per litre in Awka, the Anambra state capital, and its environs. Reports said that the NNPC mega station in Awka was closed to customers for lack of products. NAN also reports that most private outlets had products but were all selling above the regulated price. Jones Ani, a motorist, said the arbitrary increase in the pump price of petrol was an additional burden on citizens, which should be addressed urgently. Ani said it was no longer pleasurable to use private cars due to the huge cost of maintenance, while calling on the federal government through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to protect customers.
All right, and from then we'll swing on to take some reports. This morning, the Senate has resolved to provide legislative support for the policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign some of the Naira notes. The upper chamber made this resolution after a heated debate on a motion moved by Senator Ubasani on CBN's policy. The report.
The Central Bank of Nigeria had in October announced a new policy to redesign the 1,000, 500 and 200 naira denominations. To some analysts, the policy is considered untimely. As the Senate resumed plenary this Wednesday after a 4-week recess, the issue of naira note redesign was brought forward for debate. Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Senator Ubasani, moved the motion for the debate.
In recent years, the bank has recorded a consistent rise in incidences of counterfeiting of the naira, with 500 and 1,000 denomination banknotes most attacked. The threat to counterfeiting of the two denominations is a function of a large margin between cost of counterfeiting and gains derivable from the criminal act.
Majority of the senators across party lines supported the policy, but however called for an extension of the deadline in order to ensure that more people comply. Senate also suggests that the CBN governor, governing Emefiele, appears before it to shed more light on the policy.
1 month and a half is extremely short for what we're about to do. Because if you withdraw 1 trillion from this economy at once in a month, the ripple effect will affect everybody. It will affect our buying power, it will affect markets, it will affect traders, it will affect everybody.
In matters like this, you don't need to flog it and over-publicize it. Those who have decided to do this between the Mr. President and the CBN government, they know why they are doing this thing. Let us leave them alone.
Other lawmakers, however, have contrary opinions.
If the CBN had wanted our support, we are major stakeholders in the economy of this country. One would have expected that there would have been proper consultation, even though it is our exclusive preserve to do what they are doing. But then there was no consultation. After the printing has commenced, the president has approved and said our legislative support. It will be ridiculous for us to go ahead and do that. Let him go ahead and do what he's doing.
Deputy Senate President Oviomo Agege, who presided over Wednesday's plenary, agreed with the CBN policy of redesigning the Naira.
It is within the exclusive preserve of the CBN board on the based on the recommendation of Mr. President and the approval of Mr. President to carry out this redesigning. The form and the marks is within their exclusive preserve. And this also applies to timing.
The new Naira notes are expected to be launched on the 15th of December 2022, while the deadline for the old note is January 31st, 2023.
Well, there you go. Now, the Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, is insisting that the lecturers will not be paid for the period they were on strike, as federal government cannot reach its no work, no pay policy. He spoke to newsmen at State House Abuja on Wednesday on the protest by the Academic Staff Union of Universities over pro-rata payment of the October salaries of lecturers. The minister spoke after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council, during which the cabinet approved contract for the printing of sensitive and necessary materials for the National Examination Council in the sum of over 5.1 billion naira. Kainde Amodu was there.
Lecturers in a couple of universities have embarked on protests against the pro-rata payment of October salaries, alleging that the decision by government was employed to make them casual workers. The minister says this is not so.
How can anybody make a university lecturer or a casual? Do you know the meaning of casual worker? But if you know the meaning of a casual worker, it is impossible to make a university lecturer a casual worker.
But insists that the position of the federal government has not changed.
That's the position of the government, that it is not going to pay anyone for work not done. And they only did, I think, the number of days that they were paid.
The back and forth between the minister and ASU shows there's still some disquiet in the education sector at the tertiary level. At lower levels, however, business continues as usual, with the cabinet approving 3 contracts for the education ministry, including the printing of sensitive and necessary materials for the National Examinations Council, NECO. Meanwhile, the cabinet also approved on Wednesday the contract for the procurement of operational vehicles for the Federal Road Safety Commission to the sum of 2.5 billion naira. This week's Federal Executive Council was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the first after his 2-week medical leave in London. From State House, Abuja, Kainde Amodu, Trust TV News.
And now to Adamawa State, where the state government said it is committed towards nipping in the bud all causes of herder-farmer clashes in the state. This was made known at the flag-off of mass vaccination campaign against transboundary animal diseases. Salis Lawan reports that 1 million cows are expected to be vaccinated, while 3 million cattle are targeted within the next year. The report.
The transboundary animal diseases, which are highly contagious, are also transmissible with the potential of spreading rapidly among cattle, causing negative socio-economic and public health consequences.
It's a normal routine by the state government. They started vaccinating the animals because they want the human beings to be healthy. That's why whatever the human being consumed, it is the government intention to make sure that whatever they consume is properly processed.
While urging the pastoralists to make good use of the opportunity of free vaccination for their animals, stakeholders said a greater understanding of the factors contributing to the disease pathogenesis and spread is needed.
Most animal diseases are about the portals that is affecting the health of humans. WHO has it that 75% of emerging and re-emerging diseases that affect human beings are from the animal angle. And for this reason, it's an annual exercise that all transboundary animal diseases are being vaccinated against, so that the portals from which these diseases come through to affect human beings are reduced to the barest minimum.
Adamawa State is a livestock state. It's a state that is into agri and predominantly livestock. It's about the leading state in the area of livestock. And the government has recognized that and recognized the importance of keeping our animals healthy. That's why we have this exercise, vaccination exercise. We had it last year, and we will continue to have it. We are aiming to have it for a stretch of 5 years.
They also appeal to the state government to hasten implementation of policies and programs that can bring an end to farmers' hardest clash in the state. From Yola, Silas Lewan, Trust TV News.
And now to Kaduna State, where a civil servant ventures into ice block selling to feed his family, as his salary cannot sustain him for a month amidst the rising cost of living. Mohammed Antony, with a wife and 6 children, finds it difficult to survive due to persistent increase in the price of commodities in the market. Bella Musa tells us more.
The rising cost of living occasioned by rising inflation is no doubt hitting hard on salary earners, as salary no longer sustain many families.
This rising cost of essential commodities really affect a civil servant in so many ways. When you buy this locally made rice, Nigerian made rice, it costs about more than 30,000 now. About 32, 34 or thereabout, more than 30,000 naira. Not to talk of the foreign rice. We are not even talking about that. We are talking of the local rice that is produced in Nigeria, and sometimes precisely within Kaduna and other places. It's more than 30,000 naira. And you are giving 30,000 naira as your minimum wage. Where do you start from?
Living on salary becomes challenging to him, as he finds it difficult to cater for his family's basic needs. Anthony, through contribution and family support, ventured into selling ice blocks to augment his salary.
I was able to even make some kind of contributions within ourselves, within my colleagues. I was able to buy cold room, this kind of bigger fridge that was fabricated here in Kaduna, precisely in Panteka. It will be fabricated, it will be made in such a way that it will serve as a fridge where you will put in water in a ladder to produce ice blocks. If there is no light, that means that day there will be nothing for us. We earn, like, say, maybe 500, 700 on daily basis. Then we spend that 200 or 250 for our daily needs. Then we save 500 naira, so that at the end of the month it will be used to support that salary.
According to him, civil servants are in terrible condition due to cost of living, and to cushion the effect, he therefore suggests living wage instead of minimum wage.
Government should look inward and let's have a living wage, not a minimum wage. A living wage. A living wage is something that can take care of yourself, your needs. I started working in 1992 That time my salary was just about 470 naira. Not even up to 1,000 or 500. 470 naira per month. But within that time, I would buy foodstuff and then have some little changes that will remain up to the following month. I could have maybe like 2 naira, 3 naira up to the next coming month. But now, to God who made me, my salary doesn't exceed 24 hours in my hand.
Besides civil servants, other Nigerians are battling with the rising prices of goods and services, which they hope government will rise up to the occasion and fix the economy. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Now, the leadership of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, said the party is ready for the 2023 general election. In a chat with Trust TV, the national chairman, Victor Oye, added that Nigerians should disregard the notion that APGA is a regional party. Chief Oye also speaks on the power tussle rocking the party. Take a look.
You can't call APGA a regional party per se, after giving you our list of achievements. Victories all over Nigeria. In fact, APGA is a universal party, it's a global party. Because of our logo. APGA is kicking. All the crises you hear about APGA, they do not exist. They were just made by mischief makers to paint the party in a bad light. Perchance, perhaps, let's remove my name and put Edozie Njoku's name. Does it change the judgment of the Court of Appeal? It does not change it. Now I don't know why people cannot reason. The judgment says that the convention held at Awka was the valid one. Who was produced at Awka as national chairman? I'm the one. Whether your name is there or not doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change the substance of the suit, the judgment.
And that wraps up the headlines and reports for this hour. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll take a look at the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Do stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that they look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
where you find that they look like the same.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Welcome back to Daybreak on Trust TV. Right now, we're going to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers this morning, and we'll start with Daily Trust newspaper. This is the major headline on the front page. At parley with candidates, CAN sets agenda for Tinubu, Atiku, others. And riders here to say key things Buhari's successor must do, according to the CAN president, and why I didn't pick Christian running mate, according to Tinubu. Details of that can be found on page 4. Still on the front page of Daily Trust, drunken soldier crushes army general to death in Lagos barracks. That story can be found on page 8. Senate backs CBN Naira redesign policy, and a sad one here, 11-year-old maid tortured by employer dies in Jos. Details of that can be found on page 10. At the very bottom of the front page there, 7 years after aviation roadmap mired in controversies, delays. More details that can be found on page 3. Towards the top of the front page, below the name plates, PDP crisis, G5 demands equity in reconciliation moves, and we won't pay ASU for work not done, FG insists. Details of that can be found on page 6. And not to forget, for 11 schoolgirls of FGC Benin Yauri are still in captivity 518 days later. And of course, one student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, has been in captivity for 491 days. Now, these are the major headlines on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some more stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. The lead story there says, Muslim ticket. Friends criticizing me, lobbied for vice president slot. This is according to Tinubu. That story is on page 2 on the Punch this morning. And some of the riders there you can see Tinubu meets Khan, says he didn't Islamize his family. Can't do such to Nigeria. Nigeria needs religiously neutral state, not a religious state. Association advises federal government. Next president must ensure a good balance between Muslims, Christians. This is according to an association. And you see a picture there that shows the officials of the Lagos State Task Force during a raid on commercial motorcycle operators at Abule Egba, Lagos on Wednesday. You'd find other stories on the Punch this morning. Federal government ASU begin fresh showdown. Minister tackles lecturers. And then you see the story about Naira redesign, targets looted funds, EFCC chair. Government planning bank guarantees for Nigeria-Ethiopia deal. And you'd find other stories as well. Surrender mandate if APC loses, parties tell Buhari. And on page 5 on the Punch this morning, you see a very disturbing story about 11 cultists nabbed for terrorizing Lagos neighborhood. And you see the story about APC, IU disagree over bid to win Lagos. These are the major stories on the Punch this morning.
All right, next we'll take a look at the Nation newspaper, and still keeping with what we have seen in other papers. It carries this major story on the front page. Tinubu, I'm not seeking office on religious grounds. And the rider here that says APC presidential candidate meets Khan, and Christian body presents charter of demands. And going down the front page there, federal government insists on no work, no pay for ASU members. Rivers won't vote for president along party lines, says Wike. And the rider here that says G5 lists equity, justice, fairness as conditions for truce. At the very bottom of the front page there, security operatives take over Ekiti Assembly and court rejects Maina's bail application. And at the very top of the front page, World Bank okays $13.5 million financing plan for Nigeria. Details of that can be found on page 5. Buhari approves 134.7 billion naira for military veterans. That is on page 6. And tribunal compels INEC to release Adeleke's certificates. UK government launches $100 million scheme to lift women. Details of that can be found on page 9. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some more stories in the Guardian newspaper this morning. CSOs seek sanctions against underage voting, duplication in INEC register, and that is just slightly below the 99 days to election page. Development not surprising, errand staff will be sanctioned. INEC vows, don't make Nigeria a problem for West Africa. Electoral Forum chair warns politicians. AACSI 2023 poll test of Nigeria's democratic strength. You find other stories as well. Atiku faults APC's lopsided appointments, says PDP will form government of national unity. Declining sperm count raises human extinction concerns. That story is on page 4 on the Guardian newspaper this morning. And gunmen slay 9 family members in Plateau State. That's a tragic story, and you can find the details of that story on page 9. 2 Nigerian athletes face 10-year jail terms in U.S. for wire mail fraud. Federal government ASU face off. Government would pay for service not rendered, minister insists. And on page 6 on The Guardian this morning, finally, Tinubu meets Khan, allies same faith ticket fears. And then we see the story about crisis looms in Ekiti House of Assembly 24 hours after election of new speaker. These are the major stories on The Guardian this morning.
All right, and that wraps up the newspaper review, or should I say, revealing out the headlines on the newspapers this morning. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll take a deep dive and analyze these headlines with our reviewer this morning. So do stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Welcome back, and right now we are going to take a deep dive into analyzing the headlines this morning, and with us in the studio we have the editor-in-chief, Dateline Nigeria newspaper, and that is Nasir Lawal. Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you. Good
Always
morning.
nice to have you here.
Yeah, always good to be here.
All right, absolutely fantastic. Well, let's dive straight into it, shall we? One of the major stories that we're actually seeing, of course, is a political one. So there's no surprise there. Tinubu visited, had a parley with Khan, and lots of issues were actually raised, most especially the Muslim ticket thing. But a lot of people are actually saying, or still bringing it to the fore right now, that does he mean that there's actually no competent non-Muslim from the north that he could actually take, or something like that? What's your take on the entire Tinubu-Khan parley?
Well, I think it's a good one, and it's a remarkable, actually, departure from the position that Khan was taken in the beginning. Because if I remember, in July, they rejected it outrightly to say that the Christian Association of Nigeria will not support same-faith ticket. But now that they are coming, to interface, with all the candidates, I think they will be able to hear directly from the candidates themselves. Sometimes when you have intermediaries, that's when you begin to hear things that are not necessarily true, or probably they need some explanations. And the presidential candidate of the APC actually tried to explain how he had to arrive at the decision to nominate Kashim Shettima as his running mate, even though they belong to the same religion. And he also tried to explain the fact that most of the people that are actually, at the forefront against the ticket, he said some of them actually wanted to be considered for the position of vice president, and that they are taking that position simply because they have failed in their bid to actually get the position for themselves. So I think it's a good thing that the candidates are now interfacing, and I will want to encourage all other stakeholders, to try as much as possible to see how they can hear directly from these candidates, so that all the things that they are not clear with will be cleared and explained to them in a way that they will understand.
Now, the issue about religion, particularly in a country like Nigeria, is a very sensitive topic. Now, as a measure of our democracy, a lot of people have been saying, well, it's not about which religion you come from, but the competence of the individual or the candidate that is vying for that office. Will there ever come a time where we're going to look just beyond what religion you come from, to choose or to elect anybody to office?
That's my prayer, because actually what is fueling all these controversies, as far as I can see, is the fact that our leaders have not been able to do what they're elected to do. As a leader, you're expected to ensure justice, to those that you belong to the same religion, and even those that profess a different religion from the one that you practice. So if the leaders can actually do what they are supposed to do, we need development. If they're able to bring that, believe me, all these differences that we tend to hear from time to time, they will begin to take the back seat. But as it is, somebody who has not had maybe his breakfast, you will see him arguing that he wants somebody from his own religion to be the president. How does that help you? Certainly not in any way. But if the leaders are able to put, all the right things, in the right places, we wouldn't be talking about all this. If you see what is happening in developed democracies, for instance, most of the things that they talk about, they talk about taxes, they talk about things that we consider maybe unimportant. And that has to do with the level of our development. So if our politicians will do what is expected of them, ensure justice, because as the nation is, as we are currently structured, there are places where you have maybe one religion being predominant, dominating the other. But even in those places, a leader is expected to lead with justice. Absolutely. To treat people equally, not because of the religion that they profess or the ethnic group that they belong to. Just do what you are expected to do. And some people say that's why we need restructuring. And I don't think that's the case, because our laws are as they are actually enough to ensure our development, but we don't respect the laws. We don't respect things that we push forward, without anybody coming to influence them. Because when we agreed to come up with the 1999 Constitution, which is still in practice today, nobody said we should do that. But if we don't respect the Constitution, then there is little or nothing that we can achieve as it is.
No, okay, all right. Just before we move on from that, I actually have something I would like us to look at. We had an election in 1993 where religion really wasn't an issue. It wasn't even brought up. We focused on the issues, we had an election, and everything went the way it went. All these years down the line, now religion has become a centerpiece of what the election is probably all about. Is it, have we de-evolved, so to speak? Because I thought we were supposed to go from being having religious sentiments towards not having it. Well, we seem to have devolved from being cautious to what we are now. Do you think we can re-evolve again and get to where we need to get?
Certainly we can, and the fact that we are taking steps backward rather than forward, I think I should blame the politicians for all this, because if the people, as far back as 1993, were able to forget about all these religious differences and what have you, to elect a president, then it means that the politicians are actually the ones that are reintroducing all these differences simply because they want to get to maybe the position that they are aspiring for. So without doing that, then honestly there will be lots of things that we'll just be seeing, without making any headway. So just like Nigerians did in 1993, I believe our leaders should be able to discuss issues, say what they are interested in doing, and then allow the people to decide. Because if we keep saying, I want to become the president because of my faith, or I want to become a senator because of the people that where I come from and things like that, then it's not going to help anyone. Because if you think you are a majority, you are part of the majority somewhere, you are certainly among the minorities somewhere. So, but when you do what is right, when you do what is expected of you, then you are clear without any problem.
And I hope we move past this someday.
Yes.
Now, another very important issue that is almost on every page on our dailies this morning is the tussle between ASUU, and the federal government. They are still saying we wouldn't pay ASUU for work not done. Federal government is still insisting, but some are saying this is contradicting the ILO, as if workers are protesting for something, they should still be paid during that time. What are your assertions about this?
Well, even ASUU, the argument that they are making is the fact that we deal with syllabus, the semesters and what have you. So all the semesters that we have missed, we're actually going back, to cover them. So like getting our salaries is just like expected. And probably the government withheld that information during the dialogue. Maybe they didn't tell them that even if you suspend the strike, we are actually not going to pay you for the months that you have been out of the classroom. So the government should always be clear, so that probably if ASU had known this, they wouldn't have suspended the strike. So I see this as an ambush by the government, and then it's also not good for somebody who is like trying to reconcile. It doesn't help reconciliation in any way. Let them come and agree, on how best to go about this. Because even Nigerians actually expected that to happen when ASU agreed to return to the classroom. So many Nigerians believe that all their allowances and salaries and what have you will actually be paid to them.
Right, well, let's move slightly away from that and talk about the economy. The Senate, after a rowdy session, very, very rowdy session, finally agreed to back the CBN's decision to redesign the Naira. And we heard the chairman of the EFCC saying that will help with strengthening the Naira, and that the Naira can come back to 200 Naira to $1 or something like that. What is your general perspective on this particular redesign? Is it something that we actually need right now? And does the Senate backing make any difference?
Well, even the Deputy Senate President who presided over yesterday's session actually said it, that the CBN has the mandate, Senate backing or no backing, that they have the mandate to do this. And even the EFCC chairman also said that this is something that, was supposed to be done every 10 years, but that we have gone like 20 years without doing it, more than 20 years without doing it. But like you said, this is not what Nigerians want to hear. How will the redesign of the Naira actually bring food to the table of the common man? That's what people are about. And if you see the argument that was made at the Senate, like the senator from Borno, Ali Ndume, said in the whole of Borno state, they have 27 local governments. Right now they have only 5 commercial banks operating in that state. And if you look at the time that the CBN is given Nigerians to be able to, replace, deposit your old currency and what have you, it may not be enough. So that's why some are saying, why don't you maybe extend it to April 30th instead of just saying at the end of January, so that you will allow Nigerians to be able to, do this without any problem. And then some of the senators actually said, why should we even consider bringing the CBN governor to this house? Because all the times that we have invited him in the past, he has shunned us. So why should we be talking about inviting him now? And that was actually what led to the rowdy session. So sometimes you wonder what our senators are actually thinking, because if you look at the challenges that we have, like we are approaching the 2023 elections, we are still talking about insecurity, we are still talking about INEC offices being attacked, and then nobody is even, well, maybe they are not giving the right attention to it. Probably they are discussing it in their circles, but certainly not in the news. And if it is in the news, then I must have missed it along with so many other people. So I think Naira redesign, well, they said it's good. Like what the EFCC chairman said, I don't think that has anything to do with economics. Probably it's his own thinking, that when you do this, automatically something will result therefrom. I don't think it's possible, because if that were to be the case, then you will have seen so many countries redesigning their currencies anytime they have economic challenges. It's good, maybe from his own understanding, it will actually help his mandate, which is very good for you to understand what will help you in achieving your objectives. But for you to like say, doing it will automatically, you know, like help the economy, I don't think that is backed by any evidence.
Well, talking about tussles, I'm really glad this time around we're not seeing blows and fights.
And cheers flying around.
Moving around. Okay, now let's move away slightly from that. On the Guardian newspaper, civil society organizations are seeking sanctions against underage voting duplication in INEC register. Do you think INEC is ready to explicitly look at this time?
No, I think what we should be talking about is whether INEC even has the capacity to do that. Like at the point of registering, maybe you need something that will show that whoever is coming out to register, you know, is actually eligible. We now have NIN, we have so many things that, you know, can show you exactly the age that people are, even if it is claiming, at least it should be backed by some record. But right now, you wonder how 15, 14, you know, year-olds get away with so many things. It's not only voters' card that we're having issues with. Even driving licenses, you see small boys, you know, with how were they able to get it? So this is, it's good that the civil societies are, you know, raising this, you know, bringing it back to the front burner so that we take a look at it. But whoever violates the law, I think we have agencies that are responsible for is it prosecution or what have you. It's not necessarily the job of INEC to do all that, because even if we are expecting INEC to do that, I don't think they have the capacity to be able to do that. But now with technology, you know, removing multiple or double registration is much easier, you know, instead of what used to obtain in the past. So, like I said, those who are responsible for applying the sanctions should be given the go-ahead to do that. INEC, what I expect INEC to do is to try as much as they can not to do this. And then what are we even having the voters register, voter cards for? You know, it's because we have not been able to come up with a credible birth registration processes and what have you. If you have valid forms of identification, you may not even need any voters register, because it is only when you are 18. The law is clear on that. It's only when you are 18 that you will be eligible to vote and maybe even be voted for. But this one that you will require so different cards to do different things, honestly, we should begin to look away from that to see how we can, because at least it will even, you know, reduce the amount of resources that we are expending unnecessarily on all these issues.
Well, still on that, you just touched on it a little bit. Do you think we're paying the required attention to having a central database? I mean, like we have the NIN database, we have the BVN, we have the voters register, everything everywhere. but with the kind of technology that we actually have in the world right now, wouldn't it be easy for us to say, okay, let's concentrate on harmonizing this and having one central database that we can actually call a Nigerian database? Would that make things easier?
Certainly it will make things easier, but you know, I don't know why our agencies, our ministries and other institutions are working at cross purposes. Like you said, you know, one institution, one agency should be able to harmonize all these things, but probably because there is something that they get when they keep all this information to themselves. Maybe that's why they are all like gung-ho about all these issues. But why do we need all that? Maybe a road safety officer, for instance, should be able to access your database from Lagos, you know, wherever he is.
Anywhere.
Wherever he is. It doesn't have to be, no, this thing, well, you have to go to Kaduna for you to be able to do that. Or no, this information, you have to contact the NIMC to be able to get this. Honestly, we should go beyond that because these are government agencies and they are working for the same government. Then why all the differences?
You know, when we first started the NIN registration, at some point they told us that, okay, when you do the registration, you can link it with, you can use it as an ATM card, and then so many other things.
They're going to link it with your driving license, your international passport and everything.
Stalled. I don't know what happened.
You know, sometimes all these issues, you know, they look at the contract part of it. You know, maybe by doing away with all this, then you will be denying some people, you know, the ports where they eat from. So it's a serious problem. We should be able to do the needful, and that is to have one common database which everybody can have access to.
All right. Well, let's hope we get there.
Yeah.
All right. So still sticking with the Guardian newspaper, there's a bit of news there that actually I think snuck under the radar. They're talking about declining sperm count now, which is threatening human extinction. A couple of days ago, we actually talked about the human population, the world population reaching 8 billion. There were lots of concerns. 8 billion.
That's huge.
It's a huge number with declining resources, climate change, and the rest of it. Are we getting anywhere? And now we're hearing that sperm count is low generally, and it's threatening human extinction. Is that not a contradiction to what we've actually looked at?
I wouldn't see it as a contradiction because, you know, like all these global bodies like the United Nations, the World Health Organizations, and what have you, what they see as a challenge, you know, it may not be the same with what people in developing countries, you know, or underdeveloped countries are actually seeing. We are still talking about people, you know, bragging about the number of children that they have in so many of our climes, like in Africa. Only recently in Kaduna, there was this young man that was, you know, all over the news because he had 19 children. He had, you know, as if that is
an achievement.
You know, so the contradiction there. You are talking about the fact that the world is already 8 billion people strong, and then you are faced with a declining sperm count. So I think that should call for celebration. That should call for celebration because if you are worried about the number of people that, then the ability to have them is also declining. Then you should celebrate
so that's good news, I guess.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes they talk about all these issues on the average. Like if you go to most of these European countries, people are no longer having kids at all. Even at the tip of my finger, I can count a number of countries where you have either the president or the prime minister, you know, is someone that has no kid at all.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's like different from what obtains here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the difference. And they're talking about even having the replacement rate, you know, for a man and maybe his partner to be able to have like a good replacement. You need at least 3 children, which is no longer the case in most of these European nations and other developed countries. So when that happens, then you should worry about what is happening in underdeveloped countries because people are just having kids, you know, all over the place, including the ones that they are not even sure of how
they can take care of them.
They can take care of them. And maybe our family support programs, or what do you even call them? Maybe we need to do more on that aspect so that people will know, should know that having kids that you can cater for is actually the best.
Very, very important.
But right now we are putting unnecessary pressure in all the things that, like just yesterday I was reading, on Monday, I was reading the back page of the Daily Trust, talking about the fact that in the early 80s, you had like 20 universities and more than enough for all Nigerians. Now you have more than 200 and we're still battling,
struggling to get
admissions all over the place. So honestly, we should worry about the pressure that we are putting on
the available resources.
The available resources that we have.
Oh, great, very interesting. Now there are other very interesting stories still on the Guardian newspaper. We are seeing that 2 Nigerian athletes face 10 years jail terms in US for wire and mail fraud. Why do we always have to come out in negative light? It's disturbing.
It's very unfortunate because you will think those who are, athletes, international athletes, should be able to live somehow comfortable lives, But for you to be engaged in or accused, let's say accused for now, in things like this, honestly, it doesn't speak well of, because people see you as a role model. And if this is what you do, then it also means you are looking for the easy way out. So maybe all the efforts that you put in, doing your training, following the routine and what have you, only for you to end up in a jail simply because you wanted to have, your greed actually pushed you into that. Honestly, it's unfortunate. And the fact that, it's having a negative effect on the country that they come from, it's also another thing. So Nigeria should worry, especially those who are responsible for the image of the country, whether it's within or outside the country, to be able to take all this national orientation and issues very importantly, so that things like this will not keep happening.
All right. Well, talking about things that should not happen, let's pivot back to politics, because whatever it is we discuss, we still have to come back to it. There's a bit of a crisis brewing in the Ekiti State House of Assembly. There was an election to elect a speaker, and then all of a sudden, lots of mudslinging is going around, and a certain crisis. How is that a good thing for the polity?
No, but it's not a good thing, but then it's also normal. Normal in the sense that, they recently had a new governor. And this governor will want to have his own people, manning all the institutions, of authority, so that he will not be faced with challenges, or he will not be like teleguided by somebody who is no longer in charge. Because it is to be expected that the speaker and then maybe the principal officers of the Ekiti House of Assembly were probably helped to their position by the former governor.
Yes.
Now that you have a new governor in town, he also wants to have his own people so that he will be able to push his agenda without being distracted. That's why I said it's not a good thing, but then it's normal with
and it's expected.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is a good note to end the newspaper analysis this morning on the Daybreak. Nasrullah, always a pleasure to have you here. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for coming quite very, very early
this
morning.
Thank you. Well, it's because I actually live around. So
really, he was actually an early bird, and I think that deserves commendation. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, it's still Daybreak on Trust TV. We'll take a short break, and when we return at the top of the hour, the show continues. Just stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It's 8 a.m. here in the capital city. Welcome to Daybreak. I'm Zainab Bala.
It is a beautiful Thursday morning. It is 8 a.m. and this is Daybreak. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
Our headlines for you this morning. 2023, Imams to grill governorship candidates in Kaduna.
Be cautious in approving loans for Nigeria, Shosani tells China.
Petrol price hits 250 naira per litre in Anambra.
And now the details. The Council of Imams and Ulama, Kaduna State, has disclosed plans to interface with governorship candidates in the state to provide the Muslim Ummah the opportunity to understand the focus and vision of each candidate. The Assistant Secretary General of the Council, Imam Musa Tanimu, while addressing a press conference on Wednesday, said the aim of the interaction is to guide its members on the need to elect sincere and trustworthy leaders that will govern the state. He, however, clarified that the Council has no intention of supporting any candidate. He noted that most of their members were Jumaat Mosque Imams with at least 200 worshippers each. The Assistant Secretary General noted that the same interaction will be extended to senatorial and House of Assembly candidates in the senatorial zones of the state.
Moving on, Senator Shehu Hussaini has called on China to apply caution in approving Nigerians' loans application. He made the call on Wednesday while speaking at a roundtable organized by the Center for China Studies with the theme 20th National Congress of CPC, Outcomes and Significance for Nigeria and Africa. While commending China for driving development in Nigeria and Africa at large, he said China should only grant loans that would have direct impact on the lives of Nigerians. Sani said the loan burden on Nigeria is heavy, hence only loans that would drive development should be encouraged by China. He also urged the Chinese Communist Party to invite leaders of Nigeria's political parties to its next Congress for them to learn how the Chinese are using the platform to drive development in their country. He charged Nigerian political parties to toe the path of the Chinese in asking critical questions during their congresses and proffering solutions to challenges.
And petrol now sells for between 240 and 250 naira per litre in Awka, the Anambra state capital, and its environs. The News Agency of Nigeria correspondent who monitored the situation on Wednesday reports that the NNPC mega station in the town was closed to customers for lack of products. NAN also reports that most private outlets had products but were all selling above the regulated price. Mr. Jones Annie, a motorist, said the arbitrary increase in the pump price of petrol was an additional burden on citizens which should be addressed urgently. He said it will no longer be pleasurable to use private cars due to the huge cost of maintenance, while calling on the federal government through the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to protect customers.
Moving on, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has apologized to the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Adams Oshomole, for supporting the re-election of Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State in September 2020. Wike tendered the apology to Oshomole when the ex-APC chairman commissioned the Rumokberukom flyover in the Obiokpo local government area of the state. The report.
Governor Wike said he has learned his lessons and advised that the past should remain in the past. He also reiterated that he would not support anyone that does not have the interest of Rivers people at heart.
I want to tell my people I sincerely apologize to you, but you too, you prepared me here. During 2019 election, you sent in all the soldiers in this world, but the people stood firm and resisted it. So you did me one, me I did you one. So now we are friends.
1-1.
So let's back from the bygone. So he did me and retaliated. But even though in the Bible they say when somebody does you bad, don't retaliate. Politically, when anybody does it back, retaliate.
Inaugurating the flyover project, Oshomole, who is also a former Edo State governor, lauded Wike for initiating and completing many beautiful projects in Rivers State, saying results don't lie. Oshomole denied using agencies to disrupt the 2019 governorship campaign and elections in Rivers State while he was the national chairman of the APC.
Those executive exchanges have a way of communicating to our people that political divide is not war. It is my hope and prayers that more people like you will come into governance. Because a country cannot be led by people who can sustain a fight on what they believe in. Somebody asked me, on the matter, don't do it. You cannot correct the truth. I mean, you can't change a position you have taken on principle if the basis of the decision has not changed. That is character.
Both Obaseki and Oshomole, however, fell apart due to intra-party squabbles, and Obaseki couldn't secure the APC ticket to return to office in 2020. Meanwhile, Obaseki and Wike have been at loggerheads amid crisis rocking the PDP, as Obaseki backed PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, whilst Wike continued to demand the resignation of Iochia Ayu as a precondition to support Atiku's presidential ambition for 2023.
And now to legislative matters, where the Senate resolves to provide legislative support for the policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign some of the Naira notes. The upper chamber made this resolution after a heated debate on a motion moved by Senator Obasani on CBN's policy. The report.
The Central Bank of Nigeria had in October announced a new policy to redesign the 1,000, 500 and 200 Naira denominations. To some analysts, the policy is considered untimely. As the Senate resumed plenary this Wednesday after a 4-week recess, the issue of Naira note redesign was brought forward for debate. Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Senator Obasani, moved the motion for the debate.
In recent years, the bank has recorded a consistent rise in incidences of counterfeiting of the Naira, with 500 and 1,000 denomination banknotes most attacked. The threat to counterfeiting of the two denominations is a function of a large margin between cost of counterfeiting and gains derivable from the criminal act.
Majority of the senators across party lines supported the policy, but however called for an extension of the deadline in order to ensure that more people comply. Senate also suggests that the CBN governor, governing Emefiele, appears before it to shed more light on the policy.
1 month and a half is extremely short for what we are about to do. Because if you withdraw 1 trillion from this economy at once in a month, the ripple effect will affect everybody. It will affect our buying power, it will affect markets, it will affect traders, it will affect everybody.
In matters like this, you don't need to flog it and over-publicize it. Those who have decided to do this between the Mr. President and the CBN government, they know why they are doing this thing. Let us leave them alone.
Other lawmakers, however, have contrary opinions.
If the CBN had wanted our support, we are major stakeholders in the economy of this country. One would have expected that there would have been proper consultation, even though it is our exclusive preserve to do what they are doing. But then there was no consultation. After the printing has commenced, the president has approved and said, "I'll legislative support." It would be ridiculous for us to go ahead and do that. Let him go ahead and do what he's doing.
Deputy Senate President Oviomo Agege, who presided over Wednesday's plenary, agreed with the CBN policy of redesigning the Naira.
It is within the exclusive preserve of the CBN board on the based on the recommendation of Mr. President and the approval of Mr. President to carry out this redesigning. The form and the marks is within the exclusive preserve. And this also applies to timing.
The new Naira notes are expected to be launched on the 15th of December 2022, while the deadline for the old note is January 31st, 2023.
Okay, there you go. Now, moving on, the Minister of Education, Adamu, is insisting that the lecturers will not be paid for the period they were on strike, as federal government cannot breach its no work, no pay policy. He spoke to newsmen at the State House Abuja on Wednesday on the protest by the Academic Staff Union of Universities over pro-rata payment of the October salaries of lecturers. The minister spoke after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council, which the Cabinet approved the contract for the printing of sensitive and necessary materials for the National Examination Council in the sum of over 5.1 billion naira. Kainde Amodu reports.
Lecturers in a couple of universities have embarked on protests against the pro-rata payment of October salaries, alleging that the decision by government was employed to make them casual workers. The minister says this is not so.
How can anybody make a university lecturer or a casual? Do you know the meaning of casual worker? But if you know the meaning of a casual worker, it is impossible to make a university lecturer a casual worker.
But insists that the position of the federal government has not changed.
That's the position of the government, that it is not going to pay anyone for work not done. And they only did, I think, the number of days that they were paid.
The back and forth between the minister and ASU shows there's still some disquiet in the education sector at the tertiary level. At lower levels, however, business continues as usual, with the cabinet approving 3 contracts for the education ministry, including the printing of sensitive and necessary materials for the National Examinations Council, NECO. Meanwhile, the cabinet also approved on Wednesday the contract for the procurement of operational vehicles for the Federal Road Safety Commission to the sum of 2.5 billion naira. This week's Federal Executive Council was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the first after his 2-week medical leave in London. From State House, Abuja, Kainde Amodu, Trust TV News.
And members of the House of Representatives Committee on Ecological Fund have expressed anger with the management of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, over its alleged selective distribution of 12,000 metric tons of grain as relief for flood victims. Now, the lawmakers queried the mode of distribution on the grounds that not all the states affected by the recent flood benefited from the relief materials. The report.
A visible angry Joseph Oguma, who later stormed out of the committee, then raised objections to claim by NEMA that the state houses of assembly members were involved in distribution of the relief materials. He stated that 14 members of his state assembly have not been sworn in to date, wondering who NEMA had dealings with. Chairman of the committee, Ishaka Ibrahim, also berated NEMA for its non-performance, threatening to rescind the support it's getting from the National Assembly.
There is a very serious communication gap, and that is why we are having this issue. You can see that even your director is not able to explain or distinguish between senators, House of Representatives, and House of Assembly. Nobody is going to ask to appropriate what the president approved or your function to go and do in the states. The question and the gap there is, while going to the state, members from that state, you did not carry them along to say, I'm doing so in your state, for them to be part of what is being done there.
I move a motion concerning my federal constituency, and that is the only way they communicate to you. I don't have any personal relationship with you. I don't have to ask you for anything because I don't need anything from you. But my people, they are part of Nigeria. And I want to put it to you that you people were not appointed to be partial. You swore an oath before you take your office. The way you treat some of us from this area, is that the same way you are treating other people?
In his submission, the Director General of NEMA informed the committee of the agency's prompt response to save lives of Nigerians and safeguard their livelihoods. He said his agency's early warning alerts to state government help minimize the impact of impending flood disaster permitted by NIMAT and NISA.
So we're talking of handling disaster in all its ramifications. This same ecological that we are talking about that we receive, you mentioned it, that states receive it, local government receives it. Disaster has a triple response. It's like a federal government. It hits a local government, or it hits a community. The first responder is supposed to be the local emergency management committee. The second responder is the state. It's only when the capacity of the state is exceeded That's when you call on the federal government.
According to reports, a total of 181,600 houses were partially damaged, 123,807 houses totally damaged, 176,852 hectares of farmland partially destroyed, 392,300 hectares of farmland were totally destroyed as a result of the flooding this year.
Elsewhere, a civil servant in Kaduna State ventured into ice block selling to feed his family as his salary cannot sustain him for a month amid the rising cost of living. Muhammad Dantani, with a wife and 6 children, finds it difficult to survive due to persistent increase in the price of commodities in the market. Bella Musa has more.
The rising cost of living occasioned by rising inflation is no doubt hitting hard on salary earners as salary no longer sustain many families.
This rising cost of essential commodities really affect a civil servant in so many ways. When you buy this locally made rice, Nigerian made rice, it costs about more than 30,000 now. About 32, 34 or thereabout, more than 30,000 naira. Not to talk of the foreign rice. We are not even talking about that. We are talking of the local rice that is produced in Nigeria, sometimes precisely within Kaduna and other places. It's more than 30,000 naira. And you are giving 30,000 naira as your minimum wage. Where do you start from?
Living on salary becomes challenging to him as he finds it difficult to cater for his family's basic needs. Anthony, through contribution and family support, ventured into selling ice blocks to augment his salary.
I was able to even make some kind of contributions within ourselves, within my colleagues. I was able to buy cold room, this kind of bigger fridge that was fabricated here in Kaduna, precisely in Panteka. It will be fabricated, it will be made in such a way that it will serve as a fridge where you will put in water in a ladder to produce ice blocks. If there is no light, that means that day there will be nothing for us. We earn like say maybe 500, 700 on daily basis. Then we spend that 200 or 250 for our daily needs. Then we save 500 naira so that at the end of the month it will be used to support that salary.
According to him, civil servants are in terrible condition due to cost of living, and to cushion the effect, he therefore suggests living wage instead of minimum wage.
Government should look inward and let's have a living wage, not a minimum wage. A living wage. A living wage is something that can take care of yourself, your needs. I started working in 1992. That time my salary was just about 470 naira. Not even up to 1,000 or 500. 470 naira per month. But within that time, I would buy foodstuff and then have some little changes that will remain up to the following month. I could have maybe like 2 naira, 3 naira up to the next coming month. But now, to God who made me, my salary doesn't exceed 24 hours in my hand.
Besides civil servants, other Nigerians are battling with the rising prices of goods and services, which they hope government will rise up to the occasion and fix the economy. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
All right, that wraps it up for the headlines and, of course, the reports for this hour. We'll take a short break, and when we return, Daybreak continues right here on Trust TV. Do stay with us.
documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and this is still Daybreak on Trust TV. And what better thing to talk about on TV than TV? And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about right now. And StarTimes is a Chinese electronics and media company with strong presence in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, StarTimes offers digital, terrestrial television and satellite television services to consumers and providers, and provides technologies to countries and broadcasters that are switching from analog to digital. Now, StarTimes is the major competition for other pay TV in Nigerian market, and we have two persons from StarTimes, not just one, but two. And right here on the show this morning, so that you can shed more light on what StarTimes is all about. So we have joining us right here in the studio, Stephanie Aka, and is a zonal brand and marketing manager, and also joining the discussion is Ephraim Nwanebu. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right, so welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us on your show.
All right, so Stephanie, let's start with you. StarTimes. I did give, I think,
yes, practically said almost everything.
A very good intro.
Yes,
can you break it down for us then?
Okay, so NTA Star TV company, which is StarTimes, we're a pay TV company, which our sole aim is to bring 24 hours entertainment to our subscribers, and we have been doing that for over 12 years now. Our mission was to make sure that when we came into the market was to make sure that we provide not just digital entertainment, but affordable entertainment. So where StarTimes stands out is when you think of affordability and accessibility, that is where we stand out. And we've been doing that, bringing quality family entertainment to every home in Nigeria. So no matter what your interests are, we provide all kinds of entertainment. If you're into news, entertainment, sports, religious channels, kiddies, we cover all genres. So no matter what your interests are, there's always something to entertain you on StarTimes platform.
All right, that's quite interesting. I like the affordability part, and that's what piqued my interest. Yeah. So, but with the market being what it is, and you coming in with the affordability as one of the major things, how has that been?
Well, it's been great so far because we provide both terrestrial and satellite services. We have two types of decoder, which is the DTT, the digital terrestrial, which is hooked up to the antenna, and the purchase price, the product price is just going for 7,400 naira. And we also have 3 payment plans, the lowest being 900 naira. Yes, 900 naira. That's the lowest bouquet price, which is called the Nova Bouquet. And the middle plan is 1,850 naira. And the highest plan is 2,750 naira. And we provide all genres, just like I said before. We provide over 95 channels on the terrestrial platform. For the satellite platform, the decoder is going for just 8,900 naira. It comes with the satellite dish and 1 month free subscription. We also have 3 payment plans on the satellite platform as well. The lowest is still 900 naira. The middle plan is 2,600 naira, and the highest plan is 4,900 naira. So for quality entertainment, you don't have to break the bank for you to enjoy digital entertainment.
Okay, now let's talk about patronage. A lot of people would say, well, it looks like the number of patronage that StarTimes used to have has dropped. Is that so, or just people making assertions?
Well, I would say that's people making assertions because so far, just like I said, we're the most affordable. We provide top-notch quality entertainment for just a minimum price. So most issues that people would have would be more or less an economic problem, meaning maybe they can't afford to subscribe or they have other needs that supersede watching entertainment. But so far so good. We are still in the market and we are doing fine.
All right, that's absolutely brilliant. Ephraim, I believe you're feeling left out of this conversation, but don't feel left out. I will come to you, but I want to ask Stephanie this question now. It's Christmas. It's in the air, and it's the season of giving and of course receiving as well. So there's a little bird told me about the StarTimes Christmas promo. Can you shed more light on that?
Okay, we're like a gift horse. We keep on giving, and as a brand that promotes quality, family quality entertainment, we usually take an opportunity at the end of the year to appreciate our customers for staying with us throughout the year, for subscribing, for being loyal. And that is why we usually run a promo. And this year is no different. We have the StarTimes Xmas Better Level promo. We started this promo on the 15th of November, which was on Tuesday. We just started, and it's all about upgrade. We're using this promo to appreciate our customers, to provide quality entertainment. And the policy is really simple. All you have to do is to recharge for 2 months and you will get upgraded to a higher bouquet. This promo still covers our subscribers that are on the terrestrial platform and also on the satellite platform, and also new users. So the promo started November 15th. It's going to end on January 15th, 2023. So if you're a StarTimes subscriber or you're a StarTimes new user, all you have to do is to recharge for 2 months on your current plan, and we'll upgrade you to a higher bouquet for 2 months as well.
Okay. Now let's move to Ephraim at this point. I would like to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a bit technical, so I would also want to learn. Talk to us about your solar system.
Right. Talking about solar system, we found out that since we are providing affordable entertainment for the family, we found out that most of them don't have the enough sufficient power to watch it. So StarTimes came up with a solar system that is very, very affordable, that you can use and enjoy this entertainment to the fullest. So now with our solar power system, you have an uninterrupted power supply. So when you are entertaining yourself with our programs and the light just goes off, you just switch to your solar power system and you continue from where you stop, and it's at an affordable price.
How much is that going for?
We have different types. We have 5 different types of solar. We have the one for the luxury living, the comfort living, and we have the one for the middle class and the low class. Now for the middle class, we have the one for 59,000 naira, which can power a 24-inch TV.
Okay.
Now we have the one for 24,000 naira, which comes with 3 bulbs, where you can charge your phone, and has a radio which can listen to any of your channels you want at any given time. And like I said, it's uninterrupted. So once the panel is up there, the sun charges it, and you enjoy an uninterrupted power supply.
All right. Also, apart from watching some TV and of course the radio that you actually pointed out, what are the benefits do I actually get from the solar powered?
Now, one of the benefits you get is that, like I said, it's uninterrupted. So you have light in your house for 24 hours without any interruption. It is noiseless. Now, you can use it to charge your phone at will, enjoy your TV, and it also has a standing fan that comes with it.
Okay.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
it has a standing fan that comes with it. So as you're paying for it, it comes with a standing fan. And because of the promo we are running, we slashed most of the prices so it can be affordable to end users.
Okay.
As well.
Now, there are scenarios where people say, well, if you get a solar panel, before you know it, it stops working, it stops charging, you know, and all of that. Do you have, like, maybe an avenue where people could actually complain, or if they have issues, you know, with the panels, to reach out to you and how
yes,
to
yes.
fix that?
One thing we do, that we go to the customer's house to install it by ourselves, and we give them our numbers. Now, it has a 2 years warranty.
Okay.
Within these 2 years, whatever thing that stops, we change it free of charge. We don't charge any amount when we want to change it because it's our product. But so far so good. We've not had any complaint that it stops charging, or the bulb spoils, or you can't charge your phone. So we have, for the past 2 years we have been into solar business, we've not had such complaints. So our solar is very, very comfortable and affordable.
All right. So let's still talk about the promotional content now on the Star Times platform. What's that? What's on offer?
Okay, so as a brand that provides 24-hour entertainment, and Star Times is actually a company that promotes local content. And we are also a platform that also produces Nigerian content as well. And for yes, so
as in Star Times produces
content
shows
for our platform. Yes.
I see.
Interesting.
Okay.
No, please go ahead.
So basically, last month we produced a reality show. It's called the Niger Star Search. It's on the search of getting a winner for Afrobeat. Yes, Afrobeat winner. So we're running the show. We have some contestants who are coming on the show, showcasing their talents, and it's currently going on. And this program actually airs on 3 channels on our platform, which is the ST Nollywood, ST Nollywood Plus, and ST Yoruba. You can watch fresh episodes every 8 p.m. on Sundays. We also have other channels that we also have other genres of channels. For instance, on the Bollywood content, we know
I love Bollywood.
Okay, so I always tell people that Star Times is actually the home of Bollywood, because you can't get wrong on Star Times, because we have over 8 Bollywood channels. We have channels for series, we have movie channels, we have general entertainment channels where you can watch reality shows, music shows, dance shows. So we also have channels that are dedicated to TV series. For instance, Star Life. There's also Star Plus, Z Cinema, Z1, ZT, yes, so many Z's, and that goes on. When it comes to sports, our subscribers can also get live sporting action on our platform. If you're a German Bundesliga fan, Star Times provides live matches from the German football. And so to speak, we also have matches for the pre-World Cup matches for our subscribers, and Nigeria is actually playing a match today on our World Football channel. And if you have kids at home, the kids are not left out. We provide educative channels, entertainment channels, and channels for toddlers, for teenagers as well. We also provide content, news content, like Trust TV is on our platform on the DTT and the DTH channel. So if you're watching, you can actually watch Trust TV on the Star Times platform. We also have the homegrown news channels, TVC channels, AIT, and the rest. And we also provide international news channels as well. Can have access to BBC, Al Jazeera, Fox News. So just like I said before, no matter what your interests are, Star Times has you covered. We provide entertainment or news documentaries to suit everyone's likes.
All right, spoken like a true marketer. All right, so Ephraim, let's any last words?
I think one of the things I'll say that I would love our the viewers to take a break and think about what we've said, and they can come to the office and see if what we have said here is true.
All right, come to see for themselves. All right, so we're going to actually look at the helplines right here. We're going to show them on the screen, and it'll be nice if you could just reel them out for us.
All right, for those that want the solar power, you can dial this number 081 723 98123 or 080 66 52 4175.
Okay, Steph,
All right.
do you have one more number to call?
014 618 888.
All right.
Yes, and I also want to end up with saying that our promo is still on. It started on November 15th. It's going to end on January 15, 2023, and it's all about the upgrade. Recharge 2 months on your current plan and get upgraded, and you can also start a chance to win free gifts. The gifts include television sets.
We need to do that.
You should have led with that. You should have led with that.
So we have their TV sets to win, sound systems, different kinds of prizes. So all you have to do is just to recharge for 2 months on your current bouquet, get upgraded, and stand a chance to go home with
All
a
right,
gift.
that's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Stephanie, it's been wonderful having you on the show.
It's a
Good
pleasure
luck with everything, and Ephraim as well. Absolutely wonderful. Thanks for having me on the show. All right, so it is still Daybreak on Trust TV. Talk to Star Times. Actually, call any of those numbers, get more information, walk into any Star Times outlet and get yourself hooked up, because they've got you covered. And as we've got you covered here as well on Daybreak, we'll take a short break. When we return, the show continues. Do stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
That's great. That's good to see you.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's take a look at another discussion on the program this morning. Nigeria's food inflation rate in October rose to 23.72%, which is 5.39% higher compared to the rate recorded in October 2021. Now, a report by the National Bureau of Statistics also shows that the country's headline inflation figure rose to 21.09%, a new 17-year high. Now, to talk about this, we have a financial analyst, Vincent Oshoma, joining us via Zoom from Lagos to talk more about this. Hello, Vincent. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak. Hello, Vincent. Are you standing by? Well, unfortunately, it looks like we are having technical difficulty with Vincent. Now, let's take a quick break. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Sunana Isa Muhammad, kuma ni mutumin Kano ne, ma'aikacin mota ne. Da farko dai yaron mota na fara yi. Ana nan har Allah ya bani iko na iya karamar mota. Daga karamar mota kuma na tashi na dawo kan babban mota. To daga babban mota kuma ban kai ga zama direba full ba, na samu matsala aiki shine da dawo gidan man da nake aiki da farko. Na dawo nake zaune a gurin, amma yanzu kuma ina dan jaraba aikin kamasho. Na bi ne na yi yaron mota. A hankali ni ma ina ganin yadda ake, Allah ya bani iko na iya. A Kano sana'a nake kala-kala ba da ban iya ba. Na yi kafinta, na yi aikin gini, sannan kuma na yi aikin boss a Kano again. Shine na dawo nan gaba ɗaya da aikina, kuma nan yanzu ina zaune da iyalaina. Ba ni da aure lokacin da nake a Kano. Ina garin nan ina nema, Allah har ya bani iko ne aure. Kawai wannan yanayi ne na rayuwa, ka san kana zaune kana nema, wani in yazo zai iya baka shawari akan ga wata harkar nema ta taso, in zaka iya ka zo mu je, zaka iya biyo shi, to sanadi kenan. Shawari ne na nema ai, kuma na samu ci gaba tunda ina zaune sakamakon zuwa na garin nan har na da iyali na garin nan. Da farko dai yayana ne ya kawo ni, shi ya fara towa da ni harkar nema. to da kuma Allah ya sa Allah ya zama na nan zama ya daɗi har Allah ya bani iko na da iyalina. Da farko ni kaga a harkar babban mota ne, yaron mota ne, dan ban kai ga gama iya mota ba. Na yi yaron moto tun ina jiniyo na zo siniyo har ya zama na ni ne na uku a mota, har ya zo ma na zama na biyu a mota. Aka samu matsala da mai gidana, Allah ya sa ya aje motarsa, ni ma dai tun daga nan Allah bai bani iko na koma kan wata mota ba. Nake zaune a nan, amma yanzu ma a jikin motar nake ci tun da harkar kamasho nake yi. Ina ba da kayan Lagos, ina ba da na Port Harcourt, Kano, Kaduna, duk inda Allah ya ba da iko dai ina badawa inda na samu. To kamar yanzu kaga Abuja, kamar za ka tashi daga nan in kai lodi za ka tafi Kano. Kaga na ai babban birnin abu tarayya ne ko? In kai lodi za ka iya haƙuri ka gyara fakin, ka samu guri ka natsu. Idan dare yayi hayaniya ya ragu za ka ɗauki motar ka tafi. To amma kuma yanzu da haka tana samuwa, amma yanzu ba ta cika samuwa ba sakamakon abubuwan da ke faruwa akan hanya. Za ka iya kana tafiya a tsare ka a buɗe ma wuta, ko kai ko yaran motarka ko escort ɗin da yake bin kaya a ɗauke shi a shige da shi daji. To da babban dalilin da yasa yanzu yawanci tafiyar daren ba ta daɗi kenan, amma tafiyar dare ta fi daɗi a aikin mota. Yanzu da rana ake yi, yanzu kowa yana tunanin gurin da yake tunanin zai iya sa kai ya wuce ba wani damuwa, zai yi kokari ya tafi abinsa domin ya je ya huta, saboda daren wani lokacin ba daɗi gare shi ba. Wani gyara yake, wani ya sauke kaya yana jiran balas ɗinsa, wani kuma ya sauke ɗin an biya shi amma yana jiran ya samu kayan da zai tafi da shi. Sakamakon mai yayi tsada, da in ka sauke kayan ka kada ko kaya daga Lagos ka zo ka sauke ko emtin zaka kada ta ka tafi, amma yanzu ba zai yiwu ba. A da ana sai da mai tun da a lokacin ana sai da shi 75 har ya zo 80, har tun ma kafin ma kai 75 da emtin ake kada, amma tun daga lokacin da mai ya fara kai 100 and something aka fara neman kayan da za a koma da shi, saboda in ka kada juya ka tafi haka din asara ne.
All right, Nigerians there trying to make an earnest living and, of course, keep head above water. And, well, we do sincerely apologize for not being able to bring you our second discussion of the day due to technical difficulties, and we could not be able to link up with our guests from Lagos. We'll pick that up subsequently on Daybreak. Well, this is how we're going to wrap up the show this morning. Hope you had a wonderful time being there with us, as we definitely enjoyed giving it to you right here on Trust TV. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
And I am Zainab Bala. See you tomorrow.